I mean, but this isn't a guy who worked for Hillary or a guy who worked for Bernie. This is a guy who worked at the DNC headquarters. So he had the skeleton keys. But anonymous, because before, remember, it wasn't even, remember, with the anonymous sources for CNN and MSNBC, they weren't even specified. They weren't even said CIA, FBI, you know, they were just two anonymous intelligence sources. These guys know it's an FBI source. Now, it gets better. He alleged that Donna Brazile called the police after he inquired about Rich's case. When he called the police department, or after he called Donna Brazile called the police department. Because obviously he's a private investigator, so he's tracking her calls, which is smart. Here's what was interesting about this. Now, he said at first, if you were paying attention to when he first came out, he actually was not going to reveal who called the police department after he got in contact with them, the DNC member, because he was trying to keep it cordial. He was trying to respect the family's wishes because he didn't want it to be a big debacle, which made sense. Which is why he was kind of like reserved in his initial. If you watched it, he was reserved. Like, he could have said a lot more, but he didn't, which I respect. You know, you don't want to get in legal trouble, and you want to make sure you respect the family. Now, here's where it gets better. The spokesperson for Brad Bowman has criticized Wheeler, but the family has actually never come out publicly and criticized him. The family has never said anything. Actually, you know what? Guess when they said something about what was going on? They actually said something after Brad Bowman was hired. Now, for those of you who do not know, Brad Bowman is the DNC PR cleanup guy. Because the family could easily speak for themselves. In fact, Seth Rich's little brother started a GoFundMe to fund this investigation, which is probably highly likely how they're paying for the private investigator. Considering they've had him since March, and they didn't have a problem with him until very recently, and Bowman wasn't brought on until very recently. So once I keep calling him Bowman. Oh yeah, no, it's Bowman. Was it bad? It's Braun. So once Braun was brought on, not Bowman, I apologize. Braun, once he was brought on, he was a fixer-upper, if you will, because immediately a cease and desist order was given to Wheeler to stop the investigation. Now, what the hell, ladies and gentlemen? Now, I'm not going to say, because I can't speak for the family, and neither should Brad. Brad is not the family spokesperson. He's a hired cleanup guy. But Seth Rich said he was open to all possibilities. Not Seth Rich, excuse me. Seth Rich's little brother said he was open to all possibilities. That's why he started the GoFundMe. That's why they hired a private investigator. Why would you stop? It's one thing to say, okay, they put a gag order on him for the sake of the family to keep trauma down. That's a different discussion, right? In that particular traumatic experience, I would completely understand it. But you stop an investigation that you raised over $20,000 to do? How are you going to find the killer if you just completely and totally stop an investigation? Right? A little weird. Okay. But it gets better. So, like we said, Wheeler had been working with the family since March until very recently. But Wheeler also said, because he's at this point, in case you haven't been reading, at this point, Wheeler's pissed. They assassinated his character. Nobody will have him on. Like, none of the mainstream media will have him on. They said that he retracted his statements when, in fact, Wheeler actually never retracted his statements. What he said was that I did not personally see the laptop, but my very reliable source did. And he does not want to throw that particular person under the bus. Understandable. But he said, I wasn't going to reveal Donna Brazile, but because of my, because I was being assassinated, my character was being assassinated. Now he just pretty much said, fuck it, no gloves, gloves are off. So Wheeler also said that Donna Brazile called the father right after Wheeler called the police department. He also said that Donna Brazile, there was back and forth happening a lot between Donna Brazile and Seth. But in his initial statements, he said that Seth was having an issue with somebody who was working at a high level in the DNC. The high level person, Wheeler, after being fired, later released, was Donna Brazile. Now, interestingly enough, I don't know why she called the police department. Is she the chief of police? Is she in NCCIS, or she's in forensics, or she's a double persona going on here? Because that's really suspect, right? Because if I'm calling you and then you call the police department, you're probably calling because you're trying to figure out what they told me. And when you call the father directly, you're probably checking on what they told me as well, right? And mind you, this is a while ago. It's been hired since March. March, April, May. So this is in March. So obviously he was doing his job because there were no complaints, or else he wouldn't have been able to get the information that he was able to get. So then finally, oh, by the way, so for a lot of people, I think the main news hit on what, Friday or Saturday-ish. But this news was actually, I think, a day or two old before that. But of course, like always, social media had suppressed it until the right people with the right amount of followers got hold of it and they couldn't suppress it anymore. Then Mr. Brad, the cleanup guy, was brought on. Then a cease and desist order was made. Now, it gets even better. So, Handy has him on, as you all know, Wheeler, and he says, well, about the emails that were sent and things like that, and starts, he doesn't reveal sources at that point, but Handy caught it, from CNN, as expected. Whatever, we didn't care. We knew it was gonna happen. The same day, Kim Dotcom comes out and says, hey, bro, I got some information, but I gotta talk to my lawyers, which I understand. That same day, CNN posts, Fox News says Wheeler retract statements. He was lying. It was all conspiracy. Don't look over there. Immediately started to discredit Kim Dotcom, by the way, who has never been convicted of anything. And in fact, if you didn't know, be an interesting story to look up. The Prime Minister of New Zealand actually issued an apology to him for wrongfully spying on him and getting caught. And the U.S. has been trying to extradite this guy. So, of course, first they suppress him, then they discredit him. He's a criminal and all that nonsense now. But they started throwing up their hands in the air like, yo, don't look over there. Don't look over there. Fox News was wrong. But here's what was my red flag. If it was an actual conspiracy, or Fox News was legitimately wrong, it wouldn't have been like a headline. If it wasn't something they should worry about, we wouldn't have seen a hit piece from Washington Post discrediting the Seth Rich case, discrediting the private investigator, and somehow trying to tie in and managing to try to tie in and discredit the DNC fraud suit as well. So that was a red flag to me. I was like, I don't know whether this private investigator is being truthful or honest, because it's the first time I've ever heard of him. But if CNN is saying he's lying and that he retracted all of his statements, and then you have all your little, the hired guns going on Twitter, we demand you retract that statement. You're so unethical, Fox News. How dare you lie? We've never even imagined any mainstream media, especially us, lying, and we couldn't believe that you decided to engage in the same behavior. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. It's getting a little interesting, because once the social media bots come in, you know, all your Rachel Maddows and all of them, that means there's something more going on. That's the establishment's way to try and silence. So I started digging. That's when I started reading. God knows. Read some of this stuff over and over and over again. But Hannity tweets today that they are trying to get him fired, that they are trying to silence him. They're trying to, now he has talked to the family in actuality. And apparently he's speaking like they had already reached an understanding. That the family has not actually asked him. And what's more, CNN, of course, first to report on it, claimed that Seth's little brother had sent a handwritten note to Hannity and Fox News saying, don't give Kim Dotcom a platform. I was like, that's really weird. That's a really weird. Let me read the rest of the note. Maybe it gets more. No, it gets better actually. He says, don't give Kim Dotcom a platform to release false evidence. Now, it's very easy. It's very, very easy to say, hey, give him a platform. If he makes a fool of himself, that means he just made a fool of himself in front of the entire country. Because it's easy to verify emails. We did it with Seth Rich. I mean, not Seth Rich. We did it with the DNC leaks. We did it with the Gucci leaks. It's easy to do that. Why would he risk coming to the States when he could easily be extradited, and be stuck here if he didn't have information? But why would the brother who started the GoFundMe saying we're willing to do whatever it takes because we want to find my brother's killer, his murderer, we want to get to the bottom of this. Why would he write a note to Hannity? Why would he write a note to Fox News saying don't give someone who potentially has evidence a platform to give the evidence? Why would he even? It seems to me, if I was curious about who murdered and who didn't murder my family member, I'm gonna listen to whoever and I'll figure out the details, but I'm not gonna stop someone from saying anything. If they have evidence, I would like to hear it. That's common sense. But it gets better. It gets so much better because, as you all know, he sent the letter off. Today, Kim Dotcom came out with his information that I'm going to go into in a second. And guess what CNN does? Fox News retract statement. Seth's little brother gave a note. Don't look at Kim. Don't look at Kim. He's stupid. Look at me. It's like, okay, so, and if you read any of the articles by CNN, they tell you Kim Dotcom said he had information. Do not tell you what that information is, though. They don't tell you what the information is, at least what is being alleged. They just say, oh, he made a statement. But Seth Rich's brother, and it says, everything that he said has already been discredited. His murder has never been attributed to anything. Essentially, the same type of hit pieces they've been doing for the last 2 years. And I'm like, oh shit. All this shit is real. That's my opinion. But I'm like, CNN is literally working overtime to try and drown out anything with Seth Rich. On Facebook, I was looking yesterday to see if it was still trending, or how I was going to the top. When you type it in, go to the top if you're on your phone. The most shared Seth Rich post had like 700 views, which I know for a fact is crazy because I've seen videos from several people that get well over that. The next one was like 60, then 10 or 12. I'm like, that's interesting. Then Twitter took down the Seth Rich. They took down the Seth Rich hashtag. It wasn't trending anymore, which was weird. And then, you know how you type it in and you're typing your phone, it autocorrects. The autocorrect wouldn't even come up for Seth Rich. So, as most of you know, Kim Dotcom then came out and said, oh my God, I have information. Hey, but wait, I'll release it on Tuesday because I want to talk to my lawyers. Which, if I'll briefly explain why it's important. So there's been a lot of critiques today for whatever reason. People are like, he didn't give us evidence. I'm not going to give you the damn evidence. Here's what happens, okay? Here's what happens if he gives the evidence. You'll see the evidence, but it will never be reported. You who are paying attention will see the evidence. It will never be reported. What will be reported, however, is every single thing that Kim Dotcom has done wrong in the eyes of the American government and the Western world. He will all of a sudden become a child molester. He will all of a sudden become a rapist. And it will never be reported. It will never. You will know. We will share it. It will get taken down. If it gets taken down, there will be no public pressure. If there is no public pressure, if there is no scrutiny, there will be no investigation. There will be no hearing. There will be no absolution. Kim Dotcom is doing exactly what I would do in this situation. He made himself visible. Actually, I think I did this. He made himself visible because people are like, well, why did he come out of nowhere? He didn't come out of nowhere. The Seth Rich case started ramping up. Donna Brazile calling and checking on who got information from who. You talk to him, what you say? The private investigator just got slammed. He knows they just hired the DNC cleanup guy to be a PR spokesperson. They know he's connected with CNN. They just saw Fox News, and even Hannity got just thrashed by the mainstream media, more so than usual. So why would you then say, I have all the evidence, here it is? Why? So everybody can call it a right-wing conspiracy again? Because CNN's not going to pick it up, Washington Post's not going to pick it up. Newsweek might pick it up because they've actually been covering this pretty well, I'm not going to lie. But they're not going to, the Coast isn't going to, nobody's going to pick this up. I don't care how much. You could have a signed letter from the person who killed Seth Rich saying, I killed him, this is the reason why, and they would call it a right-wing conspiracy. This is where, which I always tell you all, for those of you who watch me all the time, you have to learn to use people's self-interest against them. Right now, it is not in anyone's self-interest to investigate this case, outside of the private investigator who was paid to. It is in no one's self-interest. However, when public pressure begins to be put on certain officials, because once you come out and say, I have evidence, and the only way I'm going to give that evidence out is if there's an investigation, somebody's going to bite. Somebody who's hungry to get reelected. Someone who is hungry to make that police commissioner spot. Someone who's hungry to rank up in the FBI. Someone, somewhere, that ambitious person who often ends up changing the game oh so many times in political history is going to say, I got you, bro. Don't even worry about it. They bullshitting. Give me that information. I'm going to get rich off this. That's what happens. It happens all the time. Want to know how I know? Because when do we start hearing about WikiLeaks? We started hearing about WikiLeaks after it became a trending topic. And at that point where it became a trending topic, then it became a hit piece. It became popular to talk about in the news. They started making money off of it. Click, 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 click. And then it ended up backfiring on some people, mainly Hillary. But for them, they made a lot of money off of it. Because it became in there. Once it became a trending topic, it was no holds barred. I don't care if you're Hillary Clinton, you know, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. You're not about to tell CNN they can't make their money. It's just facts. Money is the end game. So, by putting pressure, saying, I have this information, by putting pressure and saying, it gets better, for those of you who don't know, he knew Julian Assange was going to report this in 2015. In May of 2015, he has a video where he specifically says, yeah, Julian Assange is about to be Hillary Clinton, specifically her worst nightmare. He doesn't like her. Of course, who would, right? But he said he's going to be Hillary Clinton's worst nightmare in this election in 2015. What information he got? He got some information. I can't tell you that, but he has some information. Now, that's a really specific claim for somebody who was, you know, who was attempted they were trying to delegitimize, saying that he's just full of it. I saw these, you know, the pessimists who try to find a hole in everything. He's illegitimate. He's legitimate. Everybody's laughing at you guys. Yeah, 2015. He knew what was going to happen. Now, as you all remember in the beginning of my video, I said that Seth Rich's social media accounts were often associated with panda aliases. The news that Kim Dotcom released saying in 2014, he actually was working with a guy by the name of Panda. That was his alias, about the internet party, and he had some voter analyst data, which makes sense. It's a little far-fetched. If I had known everything that I know now, it would be a little more far-fetched. But considering the fact that we know Seth Rich is a burner, if you read any of the descriptions of him, he's always been considered selfless. He's very proud. He is a patriot in the sense that he wants to make sure that our freedoms are maintained. He wanted to, if you don't know about the internet party thing, look it up. I'm going to try to post links about that on the YouTube as well. But he was always known for being unbiased. And he's been working with Democratic parties, and he knows how they've worked since he was back home in Omaha, Nebraska, when he worked for the Nebraska Democratic Party, when he was still in high school. He was a techno-weenie, if you will. So, it's very possible that that part of the story is true. But, now he said that he was working with him. Only thing that's unclear to me personally is if he was still working with him when he started leaking the information. Now that's obviously that's left to be determined. But for people who are like, give us the evidence. No, don't stop. Y'all need to be patient. This is strategy, people. You can't just jump the gun. This is such a delicate situation, and every single move has to be calculated. He doesn't want, if there's no pressure, I don't know if you understand how the law works. If there's no pressure on something to be pursued, it will not be pursued. Considering this is a person who has been dealing with the law for a lot of years, I have confidence in his ability to successfully navigate it. I mean, the guy got a public apology from the Prime Minister of New Zealand. I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. But Kim Dotcom is doing the right thing. And I actually believe that he does have the evidence. What I want to know is what's going to happen next. Obviously, we don't know. But the family has not come out publicly and said anything. The PR guy, I don't trust anything that he says. Handwritten note. You sent a handwritten note. What's that supposed to mean? Handwritten note. Why don't you just send the email? Send the email. That'd have been cool. A handwritten note saying, don't let him give you the evidence. Donna Brazile calls the police department right after the private investigator calls her. Then the private investigator calls her again. Then she calls the father. There's a lot going on right now. And there is. The DNC, this is one thing I can say for certain. Whether they did it, what the reasons for them doing it are unclear. But they are not innocent. They are absolutely not innocent. Supposedly, the police department said it's there. Now they're claiming that it's an ongoing investigation. Yeah, okay. I don't know what they're going to do, to be honest with you. But this kind of cracked wide open. And if the DNC is legitimately connected to this murder, holy shit. Holy shit. Because although he was ordered to cease and desist the investigation, the PI was, on Seth Rich's murder, but not necessarily to cease and desist the investigation about the WikiLeaks connection with his source from the FBI. And once again, he did not retract his statements. In fact, he's been speaking out more than ever, but people have been trying to refuse to give him a platform, and they've been suppressing his articles, by the way. You got to keep paying attention, keep reading, keep watching, keep listening, and I get a lot of my information from you all as well. So thank you for that, and continue to send me messages, post on my Facebook page and things like that. Once again, like I said, this Sean Hannity, they're threatening him right now. Media Matters. I think that's what it was. I think it said Media Matters. Let me check. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Media Matters. I'm gonna go to his Twitter right now, and I'm gonna show you all if I can, see if he comes up. Oh yeah. Important. Here you go. Important. Media Matters is trying to silence me, get me fired, pressure my advertising on the radio. He said liberal fascism. He said I need your help. Read Kim Dotcom and listen to Democrats say over and over again there's no evidence of collusion. His nickname was Panda. Very interesting. My heart is not troubled in the least. He retweeted Kim Dotcom. What did he say? I said publicly over and over again to the Rich family, they're in my thoughts and prayers, and I'm trying to find the truth, as the mom and dad and brother asked. Huge announcement about Seth Rich, Trump, and Russia collusion tonight. Okay, so this is interesting. So Sean Hannity just said there's a huge announcement tonight about the Seth Rich, Trump, and collusion case with Russia. And he said that 3 hours ago. And so we're going to be standing by for that. He says he's going to be addressing the suffering of the family at 10 p.m. tonight. But I will, he said, I know this, I will pursue the truth wherever it may lead. for justice. Sorry, there's new tweets, and Sean Hannity is obviously the place to be at right now. So I'm trying to give you all the information so y'all can go to his page if you want as well. I'm trying to see. There's an article from Washington Post that said his parents said, "Please stop politicizing our son's murder." I know politicizing is, I don't think that's not a word that people normally use that aren't active in politics. Now, they may have been active in politics, but to my knowledge, he's the only person that is active in politics. But if I ever got murdered, my mom, even if it was involved in politics, she wouldn't use the term, stop politicizing my son's murder, because my mom doesn't use terms like that. Only people who are involved in politics and political rhetoric and discussion are. And they've shown no indication of that in the past, so that'd be a little weird. So, it's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long week. But like I said, if this turns out to be what it is, that's sheesh. Not even Bernie can say that party. Because it's like what I described to you on the DNC lawsuit. It's not the person who murdered him, and it's not even really Donna Brazile that I'm concerned with. Because yeah, those people will obviously get taken down. But it's when shit rolls downhill. It's from who did you contact? It's the conspiracy that they're trying to pretend is, and they're trying to take it lighthearted. Like conspiracy won't land you a felony charge and put you in jail for 15 to 20 years. It's the people who obstructed justice. And to be quite honest, Hillary Clinton probably is far removed from all of this, because she knows she'll keep her distance. But John Podesta, on the other hand, is going to have to come out and talk, and this dude does not seem to be the brightest bulb in the box. Keep sharing, keep retweeting, send me links, send me articles. Like I said, I'm going to make the YouTube, I'm going to break this video up into 2 vids. I'm going to make it a one-stop shop for all of the articles, all of, anything that I can at least corroborate with more than one source, and right wing and progressive, and I'll let you all be the determinants of whether it's legitimate or not. You can use your common sense. I'm not going to baby you, but I'm going to break it up into 2 videos, post them on YouTube, share it. I'm going to have all the links that I can find. Those links will be updated regularly, so go back daily to check if there are any new links up, and I try to put those at the top of the description. If I post any new links, I'll put them at the top of the description so that you'll know if something is new or not. So, thank you all so much for watching. Once again, please consider donating to our Patreon, become a monthly donor, help our show evolve. Tune in to, we're going to do on Facebook. It's either Facebook or YouTube. I haven't figured it out yet. But stay tuned, because we're going to be interviewing H.A. Goodman tomorrow. Me and Samir Khan are co-hosts. So, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all the love and support. And let's keep reading, let's keep researching, and get to the bottom of this, okay? And always remember, find your balance. Peace.